Church of Sun Lakes, where we honor the universal truths in all religions and help people to discover and live their spiritual potential and purpose. Jesus is our way shower, and so we focus a lot of attention on the teachings of Jesus. I'm Kate Turner, and I think I've introduced myself ad nauseum. You don't need to know any more about me. I mean, what is it? I'm in the theater group. I do improv. Most of you have been in one or the other audiences or something that I've been on, so, I mean, you know me, for goodness sakes. But I would like to acknowledge and thank Amy Laughlin for these beautiful flowers. And they are just gorgeous. I'll be stealing them after. No. Our musicians today, the JaJas. We're so awesome to have you. It is wonderful. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and have something sung by them. And we'll start off with our first song, I Relax, Let Go, Release and Surrender. Karen Drucker's song.
Our dear Brian is not feeling well today, so we sent him lots of love and light, and know that he is whole, healthy, and complete. And welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you. My best buddy.
Yeah.
Please sing along if I hope we're not blocking your words too much.
And if you want to move too, you're welcome to. It's kind of irresistible, isn't it?
I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. I am well. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. I am well, I am well. And every day I affirm and pray that I'm blessed with everything I have. I release my fear, cause it's all so clear. I am held, I am loved, I am safe. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. I am well, I am well. And now I see what my life can be when I trust in the process and have faith. And now I know when I just let go that I have all I ever need. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. I am well, I am well. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well. let go, release and surrender. I relax, let go, release and surrender. All is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. I am well, I am well, I am well, I am well, I am well. All is well, all is well, I am well.
We'll be here all week. So I think I saw a couple of newcomers that I would like to welcome. We would all like to welcome. Do you have the chutzpah to get up and introduce yourself? I can't think of any other word. How about that?
Hi, I'm Joan Adam, and this is my first time here. My husband Don and I live here in Cottonwood. Barb and Rich invited me.
I was just going to say that. And Deb, have you been here?
Second time.
Second time, so you're not a guest anymore. I may have been sitting and you were behind me.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't recognize you. Good excuse, right? Well, let's welcome everyone, shall we? We have a little thing that we do, so here we are. We love you, we bless you, and we welcome you. Wonderful. Let's see here. We have an opening prayer. Oh, by my favorite person, Odie. I'm just going to hand you this microphone.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Oh yes, there's even more of you now. Sit back, relax, close your eyes if you like. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in, say to yourself, I am as God. Breathe out any negative thoughts you might have about yourself. Take another deep breath in, saying, I am whole, perfect, and complete. Knowing that we are whole, perfect, and complete, we acknowledge our gratitude, God, for all the tools that have been bestowed upon us for a more joyful, prosperous life, and to overcome any challenges. A particular tool that I am grateful for today is the tool of humor, just to mention one. Because humor makes us feel so good, and knowing that worrying thoughts fade from mind when humor is present. Thank you for the smiles and the laughter it brings. We acknowledge that this tool is to be shared because we know when there is unity in laughter, there is unity in joy. For this gift and so many more, we feel so blessed and say thank you. And will you join in with me and say, and so it is. And I would like to add, I received the inspiration to write this particular prayer today because I don't hear too often gratitude for humor, and yet it's such a big part of our lives. And it was 2 weeks ago with Reverend Sheila. She has such a beautiful sense of humor, and that's when it struck me. And I realized that everybody at one time or another that has stood at this podium has shown us humor. There are no coincidences. coincidences in life. The day that I decided to sit down, meditate, put my thoughts together to do this prayer, Mary Lou brought home Chinese food, and I took one Chinese cookie. This was my fortune for that particular day. It says, "Your sense of humor is a joy to all."
And Kay, would you please come up now and give us our daily word? Good morning, church. Good morning. Today is Sunday, January 29th, and the word for today is prosperity. I broaden my perspective of prosperity. When I think of prosperity, I may think of financial wealth or my possessions. I may even feel tempted to compare my life to someone else's and feel as though I come up short in comparison. Today, my understanding of prosperity grows. Feeling safe and secure in who I am is prosperity. Knowing I am gloriously made in the image of God is priceless. Realizing the abundance of the natural world and partaking of it is a gift. All of these are wonderful reminders I reside in the kingdom of heaven. So let's just feel that. The more I appreciate the riches of the material world, the more aware I am of my greatest prosperity, my oneness with God. From Matthew chapter 6, verse 26, "Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they?" Thank you, Kay. We're now going to have our prayer for Unity Church that our prayer team put together. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I feel like ever since we started reciting this prayer, we've had more people at church.
Surprise.
We have, it's like happening. So let's say this with great enthusiasm, shall we? Unity Church of Sun Lakes is a beacon of love and light. We welcome all with open hearts and open arms to express their divine potential. We come together in oneness in creating peace, health, and happiness in our church community and in the world. Divine order guides our church as it prospers and grows, providing healing, love, hope, and friendship to all. And so it is. Excellent. Excellent. Now we're going to have a song that's going to lead into meditation, of course, by the JaJas. And then we're going to have our meditation that will be led by Reverend Tony Corman. So I'm not going to get back up here, and don't forget, we don't clap after the meditation music. Thank you.
We do have the words for the song on the board. We invite you to sing along. And with Brian not here today, we're going to do this a cappella. Help! Just kidding. We got this. In the silence, there is a sacred place, a secret meeting place. God is
have no idea, after 7 months, what it means to me to be back. It is so I invite you to join with me in just closing your eyes, feeling the support of the chair, letting your muscles relax, and breathing deeply. And that's so easy to do with Odie's prayer, with our song. We're there already, right in the heart of that sacred being that we are. I know that I am a spiritual idea manifesting in human form. So breathe that in. That divine, holy, radiant presence that is God fills all creation. So as I breathe in, I realize I'm breathing in even more of that life, that perfection, that holy essence that is my being. And as I exhale, I let anything go that seems to conflict with that, although in truth it cannot. I am the very life of God. And every person I see, every person I meet, every person in my life is also the life of God in expression. So as I breathe in and feel that life excited, activated in my body, I notice that the cells are jumping around a little bit. They're so happy. That life is always within every cell, every neuron, every bone, every muscle, every tissue. But as we bring the focus of our attention to it, I actually can feel my cells excited. Just breathe deeply into that for a moment. Do you feel it? That divine life, that radiant life, that perfect life, that complete life that is the essence of your being. If there's any part of your body that is wanting a little bit more of that, just bring your attention to that area. I am the holy, radiant, complete, perfect life of God. And in that knowing, in that joy, that enthusiasm, there is such gratitude. With every breath, I feel, thank you. Thank you to my body. Thank you to my cells. Thank you to that spirit that lives in me, as me, always. Perfect, whole, and complete. thank you. Thank you. And so it is.
I think I speak for everyone when I say welcome back, Tony. We're so glad to have you. We have missed you terribly.
Hey, Kate, you said you weren't gonna be up there anymore.
I know why she was going to tell us, but thanks for paying attention.
Wow.
Well, our unity principles. I don't know about y'all, but I seem to not have quite a good memory as I used to have.
Who's gonna admit it?
Just me.
It's just you.
Just me, okay. Well, I love the fact that we get reminded of this weekly because, it just hasn't written to my hard drive yet. I have to just have it repeated a few times. So let's go with that. 5 unity principles. Number 1, God is, the first one is, there is one power and one presence, and that is God. God is the omnipotent, the only thing. That's God. Second, I am, which I love because, I am, y'all get that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that is a part of me that I am part of God. I am God. I'm of God, and God is projected into visibility as me, as beautifully put by Tony. The third I think. We co-create with God, creating reality through our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions, and our beliefs. Fourth I is I pray. Prayer is a means to experience and connect with the divine presence within, and that which is all around us. And the last I live it. Through our thoughts, our words, our actions, we live this truth, these 5 principles. So it's just always good to be reminded of that, and I always like it when Jeanne makes sure we do that. So let's have another song before our lesson. By the JaJas, minus O'Brien, Christ is in you.
You guys can sing along on this one too. And if you want to move, again, kind of push in.
Christ in you and Christ in me shows us all what we can be. He stands for our possibilities. Jesus teaches the way. Again. Christ in you and Christ in me shows us all what we can be. He stands for our possibilities. Jesus teaches the way. We can go inside to where He dwells. We can emulate His ways. We can laugh and learn and love with joy and be peaceful here today. All together now. Christ in you and Christ in me shows us all what we can be. He stands for our possibilities. Jesus teaches the way. Deep inside we find Him still. If we only look, His word exemplifies His ways as written in the book. Again, Christ in you and Christ in me shows us all what we can be. Stands for our possibilities. Jesus teaches the way. If we only live His word a moment every day,
years.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Is that you?
There once was a farmer who had a female pig. He decided that he wanted to raise pigs. So he made arrangements with a farmer in the nearby town to breed her with that farmer's male pig. On the appointed day, the first farmer loaded his female pig in the truck and drove to the nearby town, and the breeding process began. The owner of the female pig said to the farmer, "So how will I know if it's taken?" "Well," said the second farmer, "if in the morning she's walking around in circles in her pen, you know that it took." The next morning, the farmer looked out the window with hope in his heart, only to find her wallowing in the mud. So he loaded her back into the truck and took her back to the breeder. The next morning, he looked out the window again with hope in his heart to see her walking around in circles in her pen, only again to be disappointed to find her wallowing in the mud. Frustrated, for the third time, he loads her in the truck and takes her to the breeder. The next morning, he just can't bear to look out the window. So he says to his wife, What's going on out there?" So she looks out the window and she says, "She's lying in the mud." "No!" So the next morning, one more time, he takes her back to the farmer. The breeding occurs. The next morning, he says to his wife again, "Please look out the window and let me know. Is she lying in the mud?" She says, "No, she's not." "Well, what in the world is she doing then?" Excitedly, he says, she says, "Well, she's not lying in the mud and she's not walking in circles." "Well, what in the world is he doing?" invited the frustrated farmer, to which the wife replied, "She's sitting in the truck honking the horn." That's one of my all-time favorite stories. But what in the world does it have to do with this morning's lesson? Well, it has a lot. Yes, who said that? Enthusiasm. Yeah, so this is our final topic of the month, our month's theme, which is being big as God. And that final topic is that our beautiful unity teachings can infuse us with enthusiasm to be big as God. So the question of the morning is, are you infused with sitting in the truck of your life, honking the horn, enthusiasm for being big as God? Just as infused with enthusiasm as our porcine heroine was to go to her boyfriend's house. Are you enthusiastically embracing the fullness of this gift of life that you've been blessed with? Are you passionate about the idea of coming from your spiritual center? Are you on fire for God?
Yes.
Woo! Thank you. Good. I once heard a minister's minister say that our job as ministers on Sunday morning is to set ourselves on fire for God and then let the congregation watch us burn. don't think that's exclusive to ministers. Perhaps it's all of our jobs. To set ourselves on fire for God so that others can watch us burn. I don't think this morning would be as lively as it would be if we weren't burning for God here. Remember, our Unity co-founder, Charles Fillmore, wrote, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm to spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me." The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek root entheos, literally. It means to be filled with God. If you are not infused with this kind of enthusiasm for your own personal version of being big as God, then this morning I ask you, what's up with that? Not as a way to blame, but as a wake-up call. We are at the end of the month, of the first month of the year. Do you want to be sitting here next year at this time saying, well, same old, same old? No. Or do you want to look back at this year and say, wow, what an adventure God had as me this year. I went to heights that I didn't know that I could go to. I had experiences that I never thought that I could have. God flowed into my life richly and abundantly this year. I served in deeper and fuller ways. I loved more profoundly than ever before, and I shone my light so brightly that people around me had to put their sunglasses on. I love what George Bernard Shaw wrote about life. He said, "This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose, recognized by yourself as a mighty one. The being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances, complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy." I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community. And as long as I live it, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. For the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake, he says. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment. And I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. Now that's a beautiful way to describe being infused with enthusiasm for being big as God. So I go back to the question that I posed to you a few moments ago. If we are not infused with that level of enthusiasm, why not? Let me pose a reason for it. We just may have taken our eyes off of the intention, our vision to be big as God. We just may have gotten distracted. Could you imagine in this world being distracted? We just may have let some circumstance in life mesmerize us into thinking it is more real than our vision. I want to tell you a story, a true story, of how important it is to keep our eye on our vision. It's a story of Florence Chadwick, Anyone know who Florence Chadwick is? Well, you will after this story. When Florence looked up around her, she saw nothing but a solid wall of fog. Her body was numb.
Oh.
She had been swimming for nearly 16 hours. Already, she was the first woman to swim the English Channel in both directions. Now at age 34, her goal was to become the first woman to swim from Catalina Island to the California coast. On that 4th of July morning in 1952, the sea was like an ice bath, and the fog was so dense that she could hardly see to support her boats. Sharks cruised toward her lone figure, only to be driven away by rifle shots. Against the frigid grip of the sea, she struggled on, hour after hour, while millions watched on national television. Alongside Florence, in one of the boats, her mother and her trainer offered her encouragement. They told her it wasn't much farther, to hang on, keep going. But all she could see was fog. They urged her not to quit. She never had, until then. With only a half a mile to go, she asked to be pulled out of the water. Still thawing her chilled body, several hours later, she told a reporter, "Look, I'm not excusing myself. But if I could have just seen the land, I might have made it." It was not fatigue or even cold water that defeated her. It was the fog. She was unable to see her goal. 2 months later, she tried again. This time, despite the same dense fog, she swam with her goal clearly pictured in her mind. And her faith was intact. She knew that somewhere behind that fog was land, and this time she made it. With that experience, Florence Chadwick became the first woman to swim the Catalina Channel, eclipsing the men's record by 2 hours. Which was her vision of being big as God, whether she knew it or not. Listen again to the 2 key elements that helped her to stay infused with enthusiasm for being big as God. She had her goal clearly pictured in her mind. And she had her faith intact. And she became the first woman to swim the Catalina Channel. What does it mean to keep your eye on the goal? The obvious is to mentally see your goal, your objective. We should take time every day to see our lives as we wish them to be. To make a mental picture of our ideal. But it also means to take steps every day toward it. Remember a few weeks ago when we talked about going forth and acting in every way as if you are already big as God. And that is really what it means to have our faith intact, right? We should never pass our vision over to the law. We should pass our vision over to the law. And in my Unity classes all month, we've been encouraged to replace the word law with the words I am. So I'll read it again. We should pass our vision over to the I am. I like that. And then we just go about our business with a calm assurance that on the inner side of life, something is taking place. There should not be any sense of hurry or worry about it. Just calm, peaceful sense of reality. Let the law, I am, work through and express itself in the experience. And our part is to be ready and willing to be guided into truth, into liberty. All our doubt and fear must go, and in their place must come faith and confidence, so we can be led by Spirit into our good. Our faith intact means that we rest in the assurance that the law, I am, is working, and that the Spirit is leading us into the all good. So we stay infused with enthusiasm for being big as God by keeping our eye on the intention and vision and keeping our faith intact. And that, my friends, takes us some focus and some discipline. But if we blend together all we have explored this month, we absolutely can do it. And when we do, we can have this kind of experience when things don't go the way that we want them to go. Here's another true story. It's February 20th, 1816. At Teatro, Argentina, an open house in Rome, opening night at the opera, The Barber of Seville. It was badly received. Very, very badly received. Hisses and boos followed the fall of the curtain. The prima donna was in hysterics. The leading man talked of suicide. When they looked for the composer, Rossini, and couldn't find him, they were all worried that he would destroy himself. They rushed off to look for him and found him at home, soundly asleep. They woke him up and they cried, "Maestro, are you all right?" And Rossini replied, "I was having a nice sleep before you woke me." They said, "But the opera, the fiasco." Rossini replied, "Evidently, the barber is not good enough, so I must compose something better. That is all. We will discuss that in the morning. For now, please let me sleep." As any opera buff knows, The Barber turned out to be an immense success, playing steadily for almost 200 years. And Rossini, prolific composer, was nicknamed the Italian Mozart. So this story is a perfect example of how we can meet the circumstances of life we may find ourselves in when we are steeped in these beautiful unity teachings. And we keep our eyes set on being big as God. I've asked Bettina to come and share how she uses visionings in her life, because I'm always continually being inspired by her. Bettina, would you come share?
Good morning. Good morning. It's so nice to be here. And I love Jeanne and I love you guys as a congregation. I've just gotten over a cold, so I'm kind of hoarse. In fact, I brought my lipstick up so I can put some lipstick on. Oh my God. Well, I mean, I gotta feel better, you know. I called Jeannie a couple weeks ago because I was thinking about what to do in the year 2023. And Paul and I have gotten through with all our projects and everything. And first of all, I'd like to give all my love and thanks to Jeannie. Secondly, to the whole congregation. And thirdly, and most important, to my sweet husband, who always supports and backs me, regardless of how silly I am and whatever. I'm very silly. So anyway, some of the things I came up with, and we were sitting there talking for the last 2 weeks because we were done with everything, number one, and number two, we were coughing and sneezing and doing all that stuff and going through 2 boxes of Kleenexes, you know. So I got these thoughts about this year going out different places like the desert and looking at the little wildflowers and, you know, just seeing all the growth, and also hopefully becoming close to the indigenous tribes, you know, wherever they welcome us, because sometimes I know it's not able to do that. But I wanted to get close to people like that and learn of their wisdom and their knowledge and just show them compassion and love. And also I wanted to, you know, really enjoy our life, go out for picnics and just lay by the lake and, you know, do a little fishing. But I think it's really important to give to other people who are not as privileged as we are. And even, you know, going places, and when I walk about in the grocery store or whatever, if I see a beggar on the side, it's not the monetary thing so much for me as it is the mindset. And just showing them that they matter and they're really important. And so that's the revelation I came up with, and I'm really looking forward to it because I love people and I love to give of myself, and I love to make them laugh, of course. So, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, she called me and the girl was on fire. She was burning. That day she was burning with enthusiasm for God.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the first time I've heard her burn for God. She's a fireball. Thank you. Eric Butterworth once wrote, "Don't get discouraged. The problem of discouragement comes from neglect of the spiritual life." We get out of balance. If we talked more with the Father within and less with people, if we listened to the inner voice more and less to the clamorous, glamorous noises of the external world, then we would find a strength and a courage that would inspire us against discouragement. Of course, if you love misery, and if you want to nurse your feelings of failure, that's your privilege. But then don't blame science or the law of God if things go from bad to worse. I know that none of us want things to go from bad to worse. And the good news is that they don't have to, because we can choose. Recently, I've been made aware of a person in this congregation that has been being big as God. And he's keeping a huge vision intact. So I've asked him to come up and share his vision with us today. Dennis, please come up and share your biggest God, as God. Share as God.
It's so funny. Jeanne asked me to come up because I announced to the board last week that I intend to, next year, go to the Centers for Spiritual Living Kenya conference in 2024, January 2024. And then I intend to stay on there for 6 to 12 months in order to establish a school for adults, an adult spiritual education center, and then hopefully develop into an orphanage and school for children. So this has been a dream for probably all my life, just felt called to Africa, but really felt called. I was going to a very fundamental traditional Christian church, and the minister started talking about people who feel called to Africa, and I just felt like God sat on me. And I almost fell out of my chair. I just felt so much weight, and I said, okay, if I didn't think I was called before, I am now. And of course, that church didn't want me. Check. That church didn't want me because I was a little too gay for them. And at some point I realized, I don't think God really cares if I'm gay or not. I'm pretty sure God doesn't care. And soon after I left that church, and it's been quite a while. That was like 1996 I left that church, so it took me a few years. I didn't come to Unity until about 2009. But anyway, kept that dream alive of going to Africa. 2020 was the first conference, and I went to that. That was a whole thing too. That's a whole story. Do you want that story too,
No,
Jeanne?
no.
It's a good story. But yes, I kept the dream alive, and I was, so for the past 2 weeks, people might have noticed that I was a little discouraged, and it was because I wasn't getting as much enthusiasm from everybody else as I felt, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to kind of do this myself, I guess. And so I was a little discouraged. Well, this last week I called Unity. Well, I didn't call them, I emailed and had a meeting with Unity, and their answer was, how can we help? Wow. And not only how can we help, they said, I already knew I had to create a couple nonprofits. So I've started one in Kenya, now I have to create another one here. But I just have to create the corporation, and as soon as it's created, if it's accepted by Unity, it goes under their umbrella, a 501c3, so I don't have to apply for that. So that was really nice to find out. And then they also said, we have money too, if you need money. So they said by the end of this month they will have the application ready. The girl who did it said she didn't know they had money until recently. So we can apply for this, so I can apply for this. And so I'm kind of really excited again just to know that everything's going to be okay. I kind of knew it was, and I kind of knew, I haven't talked to the right people, so I talked myself out of the discouragement. But it did help to hear that from Unity. And then I want to tell you guys, if any of you feel called to be on the board, I would love to have you, love to talk to you about that. I can't invite everyone personally, but I have invited some people personally if I haven't, and you think you can be helped, I would love it. I need lots of help. I'm not a business-minded person. I'm a great idea guy, but implementing it can be a challenge for me. So all the help I can, I'll take all the help I can. I think that's it.
You are great.
Thanks. Donations accepted.
Inspiring, right?
Yes.
Okay, so to wrap up, remember, Charles Fillmore was 94 years old when he said that quote, I fairly sizzled with joy and enthusiasm to spring forth. 94 years old. So we are called to live. The divine nature as you is calling you to live bigger, braver, and more dynamically. You are not serving the world by being little. Keep your eye on your vision and your faith intact by trusting in the one that does the work through you. And now remember, as I said earlier, I want you to be able to look back on this year and say, wow, what an adventure God had me this year. I went to heights I didn't know that I could go, and had experiences that I never could have had. Good flowed into my life richly and abundantly this year. I served in deeper and fuller ways. I loved more profoundly than I've ever loved before. And I shone my light so brightly that people around me had to put sunglasses on. And that, my friends, infuses me with enthusiasm. I hope it does you too. So let's say our affirmation together. I am big as God. I stay infused with enthusiasm, with my faith intact, and the world sees my light.
Amen.
Amen.
And with that, it's time for collections. It is the offering time, and we're going to pass those baskets along. Sheila and Julia are helping us out with that. And while that's being passed out, I just want to remind you that tithing is a spiritual practice of giving back to where you feel you get your spiritual substance. And if y'all are not feeling that about this church, you must have been sleeping for the last month. All I can say. The last month has really been exceptional. I would like to recognize our minister, our spiritual leader, for the job that she does on these lessons. The themes are so good. It's so good. You are an exceptional spiritual leader, I must say. So let's all say our offering statement together, shall we? Did we not have music before the?
We have music.
Divine
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no.
No, what I was going to say was, did we have the JaJa's doing any more songs? We don't have anything else. Okay. All right, let's all do our offering blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. I am so blessed. Thank you, God. So let's now sing Karen Drucker's song, God is My Source. And why don't you stand up? Let's all sing this together. Come on. Feel like moving, move. Come on, Jeanne.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need.
Thank you.
We need to learn how to do that again.
We are on practice. It got lost along the way. I guess I confused you when I made everybody stand up, and we can't do multiple things. We can't sing, dance, and it was just too much. Okay, let's do our offering gratitude. Let's bless these wonderful gifts. We give thanks for these many blessings of today, and know they are but a symbol of the inexhaustible substance of the universe. I give thanks that 10 times this much or more is now on its way to me and quickly manifests in perfect ways. That's it, thank you. I don't know why I was waiting for more. We do have a few announcements. Our prayer partner today is Julia Norton. Reverend Julia will be in the corner back there if you need personal prayer. Sheila Taylor, you forming a book club?
Indeed.
Would you like to tell us about
I would indeed.
it? Make it quick, Monday.
Okay.
We're on a schedule.
Yes, ma'am. Hello. I'm starting a metaphysical group, a spiritual group, and this is the perfect day for me to announce it because what you were talking about, Jeanne, is what we're going to do, is really look at what we believe without judgment and open new doors that either expands what we believe or confirms even stronger what we believe. And we do that by looking at some different points of view on different subjects. Sounds like an exciting adventure to me, and I hope you'll join me. Any of you that are interested, we'll get together for just a couple of minutes in the back and set up a date, time, and place for our first meeting, at which point we will decide times and how frequently and how long and blah, blah, blah. Is that quick enough?
You're on fire. I love this. We've got all these things just cropping up. It's wonderful. Speaking of things, new things cropping up, Sunday, the second Sunday, February
12.
12th, is when we're starting our second Sunday brunches. There is a sign-up sheet over there if you have not done so yet, and Odie would like to talk to you about that.
Very quickly, I just want to say thank you to the ladies and gentlemen who proved my prayer today. I felt such joy in the unity of our laughter. Anyway, the second Sunday of every month, we're going to get together, go over to the grill, and have lunch. The sign-up sheet is there. I haven't put our names yet, but there'll be 10. I spoke with Tom, the manager, and he told me that we can't have carte blanches automatically every Sunday, so I will have to make reservations once a month with him. So therefore, I need a number by next Sunday. Now, if there's any last-minute people that didn't know about this, they come that day. I'm sure I can stick them under my coat and sneak them in there. The table is for 10, he said. They can't seat more than 10 at one table. We already have 10 set up, so they would have to have another table. So please, if you want to join us, sign up today. Next Sunday will be the last day to sign up. Okay, yes?
What is the grill?
Right next door.
Here in this building?
Right here.
It's in the country club.
Where am I? I'm a lefty, my directions. Oh, okay, yes, this way, for all you right-handed people. Yes.
And I have taken groups over there before, or been with groups, and they really appreciate it if you bring small bills. Don't everyone hand them a $20 bill.
Yes, that's true, yes. And of course, we don't want to lollygag because I made the reservations for 11:30, but we can be there a few minutes early. That is their absolute busiest time on Sundays, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Odie, for spearheading and walking that. Our next board meeting will be February 19th. That's held at Maria Blanding's home. Everyone is welcome. If you did not get a summary of the board meeting last month's board meeting, if you did not get a summary, we're not here last week, let Julia know. I'll make sure she has an electronic copy to send you. For those people who, just in case you weren't here, Joe, just in case you weren't here, Joe. Your name was there about being a new board member, so you might want to do that somewhere. Okay, and then the annual meeting will be February 26th. February 26th is when we will elect those new board members, and when we will all hear about the big as God year coming up. So please make plans to stay for, to be here for that. We'll have kind of a shortened service, right?
Yes.
Do you get a little bit,
Yes.
a little bit shorter, so that we can get to that, because we do have a time limit on getting out of this room. That's the main reason. Prosperity class is being taught by Dennis. All are welcome. Sign up also is over there on that. I don't think there's anything else. Is there anything else?
Yes.
What? Kate, you have anything else for the explorers or whatever?
I just want to say,
Oh.
I have a few ideas, and I would like, if you all would want to go back to the back corner or the front corner or whatever, take about 5 minutes on the go over a number of ideas.
For
And
explorers?
see how much enthusiasm for each one,
For
so we can,
explorers.
for explorers.
Okay, so Kay is going to meet you with some ideas back in the back on that side of the room for the explorers after this, right here? Okay, and she wants to gauge your enthusiasm. She has some ideas. Prayer team meeting is every Wednesday at 10. Reiki share group every Tuesday at 9:30. Speaker musician next week, our own Dennis Hewitt. Is there anything? Wow, you
Yes.
snuck up on me.
Yes.
Something more I wanted to say.
Okay, and so does Julia.
Okay, Jeanne contacted me this week and we got to discussing, we really need to have people to come and help on Sunday mornings. So we were thinking, rather than make someone commit to every Sunday or everything, that if you're able to do it once a month, we're thinking we might have a sign-up sheet. And I just wanted to tell you that there are some things, like we've got these beautiful wall hangings over here, the flowers. The tables are here, but we need someone to set up the things on them and everything. So if any of you are willing to come a little early and help with that, we'd be very grateful. And if there's somebody in here who's computer savvy and would like to learn how to do the computer over there, we have someone who has agreed to do it and help us, but he also has also made clear that he won't be here all the time, so we need someone to fill in. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria. And Julia.
There is a sign-up sheet for this kind of information. We need greeters, we need opening prayer, meditation, and there's only 2 spots that are filled in for next week. So Reverend Jeanne needs to know who's going to do what, so please sign up on that sheet. And if you'd like to help, go ahead and just add it to the bottom, set up, and that'll be fine.
Great, thank you. Appreciate everyone's help. I also want to say that I will not be here next week. I'll be on vacation, and our Dennis Hewitt is our new licensed Unity teacher, and we are all here to support Dennis on his growth of being that spiritual leader. So please come and support Dennis next week, as he does not only the lesson but also the music beautifully, and also the class that you're teaching on prosperity. Did you want to say anything about it?
Sure. Real quick. I'll be real quick. So we all noticed the daily word was on prosperity. Coincidence? I think not. So I wanted to just cajole you guys a little, because when I had free classes, I had people, but now that you have to pay for it, no one wants to come. So I think that's I'm cajoling. I'm not blaming and I'm not judging. I love you guys. I have lowered the price if you're not taking it for credit to $60. And so I think it's a good investment in prosperity. $60 if you are taking it for credit at $75, and then you also have to pay Unity to get the credit. So please sign up. Thank you. You won't regret it.
Let's stand and close with the peace song. Let's dance.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Barb, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for coming early to set up. Amy, Dennis, thank you. It's not the peace song, is it? It's been so long. Oh.
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With daughters free and pure, that we all are we. Let protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love of God. The power of God protects me. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over me. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am,